Hello and welcome back to Redirecting. I'm going to be talking about the Central Park Five and the fact that this is an all too familiar story here in this country. It amazes me that each time we see a case such as this, people are just so blown away as to the fact that it is usually a lie. The media has hyped up something that never took place, and everyone is so shocked as if this may be the first of its kind. In terms of a story where black men are being accused of doing something awful to a white woman. I mean, throughout history, that narrative has been played out to where the damsel in distress feels like she's been attacked or lies about being attacked, or she was whistled at or looked at or talked to, or someone made eye contact. They were walking too close. They brushed up against her. I mean, no matter what the scenario is, if there's a black man or black child involved, because there was even a recent story, I believe last year or earlier this year, where a white woman said that this little 10-year-old black boy, 9 or 10, apparently bumped her by mistake, and she accused him of trying to fondle her rear end. And so she just goes on this tirade. The little boy is afraid because he thinks he's going to go to jail because this white woman is accusing him of something he did not do. And so America continues to pretend like each story is just an individual passing story that should only be looked at as an individual story, where you have 5 young men who literally lost their childhood because of a lie. And when you look at how the media swarms around these stories when they are happening, if there's a white victim and the black are accused, as someone pointed out, each time they printed about this story, they never said alleged. They always stated it as a matter of fact. Even number 45, back when all of this was happening, he made it very clear that he had already chosen a side before anything even went to trial. He took out these full-page ads. He was calling for the death penalty. And what's amazing, which shows you the mind of these reprobate people, what's amazing is even when it was proven that they were innocent, that the DNA did not match, and that all of this stuff was fabricated, he still said that they were guilty and still felt like the death penalty should be on the table. So that shows you how wicked these people are. And yet we, as so-called black people, are expected to take them serious. We are expected to give them the reverence of a president. We're expected to adhere to their words like there's any honor there. We are expected to honor dishonorable people. And when you look at how the white community looks at these things, without any question at all, without any proof at all, if a white woman says something happened to her, then they accept it, they believe it, and they want someone's head. They want someone to either go to jail or they want someone to be executed. They want blood, even with no proof whatsoever. All they need is a white woman's word. And so you see how this can affect us mentally as a people, especially when these same people continue to do these same narratives. This is why it's very difficult to believe what happens or what is stated in the news, but yet and still they are expecting us to believe whatever they say. When you have a system that is known for perpetuating this type of evil against you on a large scale, I mean, you had business people coming to her defense, church people, Christians, white Christians coming to her defense, politicians, everyone swarming around the damsel in distress without once even considering that this was all a lie. And they are happy to do this because there is no respect for a black life. But yet we are expected to honor and trust a system that has done these things to us time and time again. Do you think the Central Park Five was the first time something like this has happened? No, it wasn't. Look at Emmett Till. Look at Charles Stiney. Look at the incident in Rosewood. Look at so many incidents before that where a white woman tried rape. I mean, even modern day incidents where, like Kobe Bryant, this white woman in his hotel room, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and then she claimed she was raped. And then she retracts her story. But she doesn't get beat up for retracting her story, or she doesn't get frowned upon, should I say, is a better way of explaining it. She's not frowned upon for retracting her story. But she told a lie that could have destroyed someone's life. But did she care? Did they care? The people who supported her, who wanted Kobe Bryant dead, put to death? Did any of them come forward and say, oh, we are sorry, we supported a woman, we believed her without any facts, without even seeing anything go to trial? I'm trying to get you all to understand there is a mindset that is present right now in this country, specifically here in this country. Now, I know that things are happening in other countries as well, but here in America, there is this holdout mentality of we are going to continue to accuse you of things and let it come out decades later that you were actually innocent. We're going to continue to believe our own, regardless to how many times they've set precedents of lying, manipulating, putting out false stories. I remember there was a documentary we watched years ago where they said they would send news reports from up north, fake news reports, down south to tell Southerners that some white woman was attacked, specifically in Detroit. They would say that some white woman was attacked and raped, or a white woman and her child was attacked and raped by by a black man. And they would send this fake news down to the southern states to get these people all angry and riled up so that they can come up in droves. And a lot of the riots and things of that nature, I mean, these riots were taking place because lies were being perpetuated. These people who claim to be moral human beings, they're the ruling class, or a part of the ruling class. They claim to be Christians, many of them, but wicked and rotten to the core, sending fake news reports down south to trigger violence, where many black people lost their lives over a bald-faced lie. A bald-faced lie. It amazes me how in this day and time you still have people who will look at these stories and pretend like it's an epidemic here in this country. Like it's an epidemic where black people are doing this, that, and the other, and that they have a right to fear for their lives. They'll pick 1 or 2 stories here and there, but there is more racial violence against black people than the other way around, where we are the ones who actually generally fear for our lives. I mean, here you have a young woman, 21 years old. They called her the female George Zimmerman, where this woman hunts down this 62-year-old black male who was having a diabetic episode after a car accident, a minor car accident at that. And this devil pursues this man and kills him. And they let her out on bail. And yet we are supposed to feel like things are free and fair in this country, that we're in the land of the free. It's becoming more and more apparent that we are being ruled over by a group of reprobates who will never be fair, and that only divine intervention will put a stop to this wicked rule that we see. Only divine intervention, because trying to plead to them, look at us, our lives matter, Black Lives Matter, please care, please stop this stuff from happening, please be patient with us, please stop doing this to us, please love us. All of that stuff to me is foolishness and nonsense. These people are doing exactly what they want to do. They can't stand to hear us talk about it. I mean, you have those who will see things Like someone came in our live chat during our Shabbat service a couple of weeks ago, or I think it was last week, as a matter of fact. And here I was mentioning this incident where this 21-year-old white woman killed this 62-year-old man. And I referred to her as a Becky. Now, many times when we're talking about our people, we'll say Laquita or Shaquita or Tyrone or something like that. Now, these people, they don't have any problem with that, with us saying Shaquita or Tyrone or even Negro. But when you refer to a white woman as Becky, all of a sudden their heads explode as if something racial has taken place, as if something evil has taken place. That shows you that the nature that these people have, and many of them claim to be righteous living people, they were more focused, when this person chimed in on our live broadcast, they were more focused on the fact that I called this young woman Becky than they were on the fact that a 62-year-old man who was in diabetic shock lost his life at the hands of this young Becky. They were more concerned about her feelings than his life. That shows you that we're dealing with a bunch of wicked, devilish people. So wicked and rotten to the core, to where that black life didn't matter to them. But don't you dare call this woman a Becky. That is one miserable, demonic person, because they have no sympathy or love for that person who lost their lives, or those who have lost their lives, but they feel more sympathy for someone being called Becky. I can't even wrap my brain around that type of hatred. I can't do it. I can't comprehend that type of wickedness in a person. How can you even live? I don't even understand how these people can live in the flesh that they're in with this type of hatred bottled up inside. And they think that they're righteous and that someday they're going to traipse around heaven. That's the funny thing about it. They think that we have no right to speak on these issues. Another one of them called me a race baiter. And I'm like, these people are sick. And when I say sick, I'm talking about a spiritual sickness. Their spiritual sickness is something that only the Most High could deal with, because you can't penetrate that type of mind. You can't rationalize with people who think like that. You can't get them to understand what it is we have to endure on a daily basis. When you see those like Jane Elliott and Tim Wise speak out on black issues, you feel somewhat relieved. You're like, wow, where did this person come from? Are they real? But even they have their own challenges. I remember Tim Wise, he said he had to calm himself down when a black person checked him on speaking on black issues and questioning his sincerity. He went all the way off. It's like he faded to white. And so that's what makes a lot of so-called black people not trust when they call themselves trying to be sincere, because all you have to do is push the right buttons and Mr. White Man or Mr. or Mrs. White Woman will show up. That is the problem that we are having. And they feel offended when we don't trust them to the fullness or fully trust them. Why feel offended? Put yourself in our shoes. When you look at the Central Park Five, they were at the mercy of people who were willing to execute them, kill them, take their lives because a woman spoke and said something. They didn't need any evidence. All they needed was her word. You try living in a world where all it takes is just the word of a black person and you are going to be thrown under the prison. You all couldn't even imagine such a place. You wouldn't want to live in such a place to where all it took was a black person to say you did something wrong and you were punished for it. No questions asked, no proof, no anything, just our word. You couldn't deal with it. And so all we are saying is that collectively, we are tired. We are simply tired. Now, the Central Park Five, it took a very long time for them to get victory after enduring all of this shame, this hurt, betrayal, lies, manipulation, just snuffing out their very lives, stealing their childhood. And they are finally free. But look at everything that they have lost because of lies, because of a wicked system that was put in place to uphold white supremacy. And yet the wicked people who are actually benefiting from this system still refuse to see the point of view that we have to see. They still refuse to acknowledge that these many injustices that have been perpetuated against our people need to be made right. We are expected to honor this system and respect it. That is so very laughable. The same things that have been done to us, if they were done to these people, they wouldn't respect that system. But yet they expect us to. If the shoe were on the other foot, they could not do what they are expecting us to do. And yet they call into question whether or not we can be trusted. I find that very laughable. Central Park 5, there's a new series out about it. We plan to check it out. Many of us were already familiar with the story, but a sister by the name of Ava, I can't remember her last name, but she's bringing it out. And we appreciate that. We should all check it out, show some support for this and for those brothers. And for this black female producer, film producer, because it's things like this that need to be discussed and talked about, and they need to be shared with our children so that they can understand what their parents, their grandparents, their great-grandparents, and our ancestors were up against, and what we are still faced with. This stuff has not diminished. It is still very much happening today, and we are still expected to respect and honor this system. And they, with their reprobate minds, stand in shock when we don't respect this system that they've put in place for themselves. Only a reprobate, narcissistic mind thinks that people who have been the victims of their rage, only a narcissistic, reprobate mind thinks that you're supposed to honor such a system. Again, I can't even wrap my mind around that. I can't wrap my brain around it, but that is what we are up against. And we must teach our children the truth and stop sugarcoating this demonic system. What is happening in this demonic system? Stop sugarcoating it. Tell them the truth. We owe them that. Okay, family, with that I will say shalom.